Hey everybody, So Wookie here. In this video we're going to take a look at how the bots in the Pubg console actually spawn into the map. The reason for this is because a lot of people have been speculating online whether they just spawn in the map and they already have guns, whether they parachute in or whatnot. So in this video we're going to take a look at it and find out exactly how they get there and what kind of system it is taking place. Hope you enjoyed the video and find it interesting. If you do, like and subscribe. Now, in this first game, we're going to have a look at this Miramar game. The reason I've chose this game is because there was a high percentage of bots. Not necessarily over 50%, but in the games where there's not as many bots, it's not quite as easy to see how they're coming in. So, I'll start off the recording here. Now, as you can see, the players are coming in immediately along this line here, which is the flight path of the plane. Now, the first bot was actually this guy here. Now, as you can see, as the plane carries on, there's more and more bots that are appearing off screen, nowhere near the plane. Now, players start to spread out. Now, this is what I'd call the first wave of bots. Now, the first wave of bots, as I've watched through a couple of these now, are guaranteed to land in the first circle. So as soon as the first circle appears in a minute, you'll see that wave one of the bots all land in it and where it's going to be. So the first bot that was coming was this one here, and that was the first one that set off, and it landed inside the circle. Now these guys here, these are all going to land in here as well, and then this cluster here is like the second wave of bots, and they'll land in the next circle. So I'll speed it up a little bit for, so we're not here all day. Now, what's interesting, and I'll point out, is that the bots are guaranteed to land in the circle, as we've seen, in circle 1, if you're a first wave bot. But they don't necessarily land on the land. So these bots here have just landed in the ocean, and a couple more do in a second as well. So, I mean, straight away that's something that needs to be sorted, is making sure that the bots actually land somewhere. Now, another thing that this suggests is as well, when the bots hit the ground, they already have a gun. I'm pretty sure they have a gun and a vest. Not necessarily a helmet and a bag, they already have a gun and a vest. And the reason I think this is because a lot of times I've come across bots, they've got no bag, no helmet, but they've got like an AK or an M16, and they've got ammo and they've got a vest. So, perhaps these guys already start with that. I can't quite remember if they actually make it to shore or not. And again, some more bots land in the sea as well. Again, every one of them's landing in this ring. And then that, basically, all the bots that have landed here now, some of these might be real players having moved in, but all of these guys are what I've classed as wave 1. This second cluster here, this is going to be wave 2 of the bots. And they're going to land in the next circle that will appear once the blue's in. They'll not hit the ground until then. And as you'll see in a second, it's I think I speed it up to 20. Yeah, it's on 20 now. This cluster here that's still moving in, are going to land in the next ring. There you go. So they'll be on the ground in a second and they'll land. Now, what else is interesting here is these guys who were cluster number 3, who are going to land in the next ring in a second, they're not taking damage from the blue. So, although they appear to have dropped out of a plane, be it an invisible plane or whatnot, they're not actually like triggered as a player until they touch the ground, because they're not touching, they're not taking damage, sorry. Now, that's an interesting thing as well, because that makes you think that if you was to like land somewhere, get a gun and look up in the sky, you're not going to see the guns, you're not going to see them parachuting in, because they're just not going to be there until they hit the ground. Which is why a lot of people have said that the bots seem to just spawn behind them, within a couple of 100 meters, because the bots have like got a predetermined landing spot to land in the second ring or land in the third ring, and then as soon as they hit the ground, it's almost like they become a player and they're not invisible anymore, and away they go kind of thing. Which is why a couple of people I think have said that it seems like they're spawning behind them. So, like, imagine if you was, like, one of these players here, just, like, chilling out in a building, whatever, you're looking around, and then all of a sudden, one of these bots lands, and it's like, it'd be really interesting to see that from a player perspective. I don't know if anybody's captured that yet. And again, these guys, they're still parachuting, and then the next ring will come in, and I think it's, like, here or something, and then they'll all hit the ground there. which is fine. I have no idea what this yellow thing is that's bouncing around like an absolute maniac, whether that's something to do with a bot or what, who knows. And that's that basically. I mean, when it gets to this kind of size, it's really congested. You can't really tell who's who anymore. But certainly on Miramar, the way that the ring's set up, obviously every map's different in terms of the ring and how much it shrinks in between the zones. But certainly on Miramar, there's 3 distinct circles there that's accommodated by 3 sets of bots. So, and another thing worth noting as well, which players will soon take an advantage of, is if, say you was a player, and obviously the playing angle was up here, kind of along this line of dead bodies, if you'd have landed at Campo Militar, and you looked at the ring and the ring was down here, if you see a player up here, you know 100% it's not a bot, because the bots always land in the circles. So, I mean, if you was on the edge of it, the bot could theoretically just run out to engage in combat and stuff like that. But that kind of range outwards, you're going to know 100% that they're not a bot. So again, it's just another tell on whether it's a player or a bot. Not that I'm not saying that they're obvious, but if you see a guy running at 400 meters, it's just a guy running at 400 meters. It's not necessarily obvious. But again, if you're that far out of the ring, it is going to be obvious. So that's the first game, the Miramar game there. I'm going to have some slides up at the side that are going to have lines on showing playing angles, showing the waves. And then we'll move on to the Vikendi game next. So, here's the second Vikendi game, starting right away. I'll put the speed up a little bit on this one because we kind of get the gist. So, straight away, it's a lot easier to see this time than on the Miramar because people jumped out a bit later. So, you've got the angle of the plane, which is basically straight from top to bottom of the map. All the players in a straight line. Some of them have split off because they've jumped a bit earlier. And already straight away you've got the bots coming in at the top end of the map. So this is again wave 1 of the bots. Now you'll see on Vikendi as we go forward that it works in a different wave pattern than it did on Miramar. So in Vikendi there's basically 2 waves instead. So wave 1 here, they've kind of spread out from east to west, so they're already getting mixed in with the players quite well. But you've also got wave 2 at the top end there. Now, because of the way that the ring shrinks down on Vikendi, a lot of them land in a very small ring at the end. So wave 2 is starting to come in now. And then you've got this big cluster here that goes into the next ring. So as the blue comes in, you'll see the next ring, and then you'll see this cluster. They'll all be aiming for there. That's why these aren't spreading out so much, because you know that the ring's going to be like round here somewhere. And there it is. So they're all going to land in this ring now. So unlike on Miramar, where was the first wave that went to the big ring, and then there was a second wave that went to the slightly smaller one, and then the third wave went to the smallest one. On this one, there was only really, like, say, 2.5 waves. So it was the first wave that spread out massively. The second wave still went in the big ring, but came in slightly later. And then the third one went in this size ring. And then at this point, when this ring is begun, all the bots are already on the ground. So it's worth noting that, obviously, on the different maps and the different blue zone settings and stuff like that, that the bots are going to come in at a different, like, rate, if you will. Which is interesting. And again, in this one, it's ended up quite congested in the centre of the field because the bots, the way that the ring went was on the flight path quite centrally, so that the bots were limited with where they could spread out, so that they've ended up landing on the players a lot in this game. As you can see now, it's, you know, congested as, and then as the game goes on and the ring shrinks, all the bots are out in. There's no longer any gliding in, and they're just getting killed. And again, kind of like on the Miramar one that we just went through, there's a yellow bloody thing bouncing around at unnatural speeds, and I'm not sure what that is whatsoever. God knows. I'm not whether it's the AI control or something like that. And then, you know, we end up winning that game, which is whatever. But yeah, so I mean, it's just worth noting that I'm probably going to have a look at next time I get in a game with a good amount of bots and we get right to the end on a San Hoc and an Arangal to try and see again how they're spreading out within those maps as well, because again, they have different ring layouts. And that'll be interesting to do. So, hope you found this video useful and you got a bit more understanding about how the bots spawn in the game. If you did, drop a like and subscribe to see more. Wookie, out.